guys, Movie Junkie for Life here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Sicario 2 or Sicario Day of the Soldado. This one is directed by Stefano Sollima and written by Taylor Sheridan, starring Josh Brolin and Benicio Del Toro. This is a follow-up to the first Sicario movie, and in this one, terrorists are using the Mexican border to get into America and do awful things. So Josh Brolin is sent in to figure out a way to stop it from inside of Mexico, which of course could cause a huge scandal. So, Sicario 2. I was one of those people, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that really enjoyed the first Sicario movie. That one was directed by Denis Villeneuve. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Same director behind films like Arrival. I absolutely adore his work. And Taylor Sheridan also wrote that Sicario movie. And that was one of those movies that caught me completely off guard. I didn't know anything about it going in. I absolutely enjoyed it from beginning to end. It's so perfectly edited, so well directed. And of course, when I heard there was going to be a sequel, I had to jump on board. The thing is, it's difficult to call this movie a sequel. While the characters of Josh Brolin and Benicio Del Toro are in this movie, this feels like a film that is an entirely separate thing that occurs in the same world, and it just so happens to be telling a story that these two characters are in. Because if you've seen the first Sicario film, the way it ends, you're expecting this movie to continue on Alejandro's story, that's Benicio Del Toro's character, and it's not really feeling like that. As a matter of fact, it's a little difficult to even place the timeline of when this movie is occurring. At least for me. It feels like it could have occurred before those events of Sicario Part 1. That said, this is an excellent film. Granted, it's hard to call it an entertaining film. So let's get into it. First of all, the visual look of this movie, it has some gorgeous shots in there. Some really beautiful shots of Mexico, some lovely overhead shots, and the action sequences, which is, I don't know if I want to call them so much action sequences, because it doesn't play out like the first one. Good. They do have that sense of tension, that sense of suspense. They're very well executed. But again, unlike the first one, there's that rhythm to it isn't there. The most famous one I could point out is in that first movie, there's that scene that takes place on the US-Mexico border. It seems like one continuous shot. I don't know if it is, and it's just perfection. We get a scene like that in this movie that takes place, another ambush type scene. And while it's very good, it doesn't visually look like that scene. So it's moments like that, it makes it a little difficult to compare. Like I said, this feels like its own story. I guess it's because it's a different director. I'm not saying he didn't do a good job. It's just that everything here feels more like you're watching something taking place on the news, as opposed to a Hollywood type finished production. The story is also very much like that, in that the story here is a lot more brutal and a lot more complex than that first story. In the first movie, we're basically following Emily Blunt's character into this world that she doesn't know about, this world of drug cartels and sicarios and that sort of thing. It's pretty straightforward. Here, the story splits up, and we're following basically two kids. And we're seeing the way that these acts of terrorism and the way these drug cartels have affected these kids' lives. And the final shot for me in this movie, well, I shouldn't say the final shot, but the final shot with the female character in this movie, the look on her face just says it all. Because this movie isn't what I would call an entertaining movie. It's one of those movies you watch, and when you finish watching it, the brutality and the reality of what you've just seen, the realism of what you've just seen sets in. And it's a little hard to digest. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad film. I really enjoyed this movie. I did. But it just feels so real. And it's very different in tone from that first film because of this. Because this one takes a look at some stuff that hits very close to home for a lot of people in terms of acts of terrorism and what it can do to innocent civilians and innocent families. The opening act in this, that scene in that grocery, there's no other ways to describe it but brutal. You have a lot of scenes like that. You have these moments where you see it from a very personal point of view on how these types of acts can affect children and the way they will see the world in the future. Because you see these two characters, this boy and this girl, and you see the decisions they are making and the lies and the, what should I say, the plots that they're caught up in because of the adults around them, using them in particular ways, and you wonder what type of adults they'll turn out to be, which is why I'm hoping there'll be a Soldado 3. As for the acting, again, Benicio Del Toro steals every scene he's in. He is amazing as his character. I can't wait. I just want more of him, more of Alejandro. Josh Brolin is also amped up in this one. You know, it's like he's on a roll recently. He's always been awesome. I love him forever. You know, we were there in the cinema and I was like, Gangster Squad, and just calling out all the films he was awesome in. Yeah, but his character here is a lot more intense, a lot more terrifying. In the first one, he seemed almost like this laid-back surfer type. Granted, you knew he was dangerous. You see how dangerous he is in this movie. And you see the decisions that are made in this film, how a lot of people, you know, you follow orders. And I guess, as they say, everybody's a hero in their own story. These stories are told from the point of view of the people involved, and it's either you're following orders whether you want to or not, or you're trying to make the best of a bad situation. Sometimes you have to become the bad guy, I guess, to fight the bad guy. So you have to do some very dark things in the name of peace. So I'm going to give Sicario, Day of Soldado, Day of the Soldado, a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. Granted, I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. Like I said, I would say the first one is very entertaining. It's extremely well shot, well paced. Denis Villeneuve is a genius. So, and Taylor Sheridan, he did write both movies, so there is that feel to it. I would really like for Denis to come back for the third one. But that all well and said, this movie is a very good movie. It's very complex. Its characters are really well written. And that ending, I can't wait to see what they do for part 3. And that's going to be it for me, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please hit the like button below. It's very much appreciated. If you want to subscribe to my channel, you can click on my face right over there. And I also do small reviews instead of these long reviews sometimes people don't have time for. Although I do appreciate you guys watching it on Stardust. Same name, Movie Junkie, capital M, capital J. And that's going to be it for me, guys. So next week is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Gonna look forward to definitely checking that one out. And until next time, bye-bye.